the silent epidemic devouring modern men. There's a quiet epidemic spreading among men today. It doesn't scar the skin. It doesn't show up in blood tests, but it destroys from the inside out. It's the compulsive need to be liked, to be approved, to be harmless. From a young age, you were trained to lower your head, smile politely, and agree, not because it was right, but because it was safe. And with every silent nod, every fake smile, every yes when you meant no, a part of you died. That's the first death of a man. Not the death of his body, but the death of his edge. In that moment, you stopped being a man and became a dog, predictable, tail wagging, not from joy, but from fear. Fear of being rejected, ignored, or unloved. Machiavelli warned us. A wise man must learn how not to be good when the situation requires it. Because in a world ruled by power, virtue alone is a leash. The world doesn't love the dog. It uses him. It praises his loyalty when he's useful. It punishes his disobedience when he resists. And when his tail stops wagging, he's replaced. The tragedy isn't in his kindness. It's in his illusion. The belief that being harmless guarantees love, that loyalty earns protection, that obedience earns legacy. But life doesn't reward the agreeable. It rewards the dangerous, the capable, the man who can smile but never kneel. So let me ask you, are you living like a man or surviving like a dog? Have you ever swallowed your truth to keep the peace? Ever begged for love and called it connection? Ever felt invisible despite doing everything right? Then it's time. Time to stop performing. Time to kill the dog in you. Because the world will tame you, use you, then forget you. But the wolf? He doesn't ask to be remembered. He makes himself unforgettable. If you feel something stirring inside, something raw, something ancient, don't ignore it. This isn't just another message. It's a call to rebirth. The system that trains you to fail. You weren't raised to lead. You were trained to obey. From the beginning, you were rewarded for being agreeable, punished for resisting. You were taught to be kind, to be helpful, to say yes, even when everything inside you screamed no. And so, slowly but surely, they carved obedience into your spine. Not strength, not self-respect, not strategic power. Just predictability. Here's the truth no one tells you. The world doesn't reward loyalty. It exploits it. It doesn't respect the obedient. It forgets them the moment they're no longer useful. The system is designed to raise workers, not warriors, dependents, not thinkers. Men who ask permission before speaking and apologize for wanting more. And when that training is complete, you stop acting on instinct. You hesitate. You shrink. That's when the real death begins. The death of initiative, the death of edge, the quiet collapse of your masculine force. Machiavelli didn't write for men like that. He didn't write for the kind, the polite, the submissive. He wrote for rulers, men who see the world for what it is, a stage of performance and power, where predators wear suits, pleasantries hide ambition, and those who bow are stepped on. Look around you. In the workplace, who rises? The man who stays late, never complains, gives everything. Or the one who sets boundaries, speaks clearly, walks with presence? In love, who's desired? The man who bends every need. Or the one who knows his worth and can walk away without flinching? You already know the answer. The truth is brutal, but it's still the truth. This world respects not kindness, but scarcity. Not availability, but power. The nice guy is applauded in theory, but discarded in reality, because he was never trained to protect, only to please. And in times of war, emotional, professional, or personal, a man who cannot bite is just noise. That's what you became, a man groomed to serve, not to defend, to be liked, not to be respected. And the moment tension arises, you freeze. You panic. You collapse inward, not because you're weak, but because you were never taught to be dangerous. Comfort raised you. Fear controls you. Shame keeps you quiet. But it doesn't have to end here. If something inside you is cracking, if you're tired of folding, tired of nodding, tired of apologizing for simply existing, then it's time to remember what they tried to erase. You were not born to be small. You were not built to stay quiet. You were not meant to be agreeable. The loyalty trap. There's a word more dangerous than betrayal. more seductive than love, and more effective at keeping men in chains than any king ever could. Loyalty. You were taught that loyalty makes you good, that it proves your integrity, that it's the measure of a strong man. But no one told you the other half of the truth. Loyalty without power is just slavery. Loyalty without leverage becomes a leash. Loyalty to the wrong person is a death sentence. Machiavelli saw it clearly. He knew that rulers don't admire loyalty because it's noble. They admire it because it's useful. A loyal man is predictable, controllable, easy to manage, unlikely to rebel. And that's exactly what the world wants from you. Your boss wants you loyal but underpaid. Your partner wants you loyal but voiceless. Your leaders want you loyal but blind. And the moment you resist, the moment you stop being convenient, you're no longer loyal. You're dangerous. Because loyalty is never about you. It's about them. Their comfort, their dominance, their control. And you're just the insurance policy. They'll call you a good man. They'll praise your dedication. They'll hang medals on your chest right before they throw you to the wolves. So ask yourself, who are you being loyal to? A system that drains you? A relationship that shames you? A job that replaces you the second you speak up? Be honest. Are you loyal or are you afraid? Afraid of starting over? Afraid of being called selfish? Afraid of being alone? So you stay. You bend. You break yourself in the name of honor. But the truth is, it's not honor. It's fear dressed up as virtue. And it's killing you. Because a man who refuses to walk away from what no longer serves him will never rise. He will stay small. He will stay stuck. He will stay forgotten. History does not remember the loyal. It remembers the victors, the adaptable, the men who knew when to shift allegiance, when to walk away, when to burn the flag and plant their own. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince must be both a lion and a fox." Meaning, you must know when to stand firm and when to vanish. So don't give your loyalty away like a gift. Treat it like a loan, with terms, with boundaries, and the right to be revoked when it begins to cost your soul. Be loyal to those who would bleed for you, to causes that still have a soul, to visions that still have a future. But above all, be loyal to yourself, to your instincts, to your dignity, to your rise. Because when your loyalty becomes inconvenient, the world will discard you without hesitation. So stop confusing loyalty with morality. Stop calling servitude strength. And for your own sake, stop waiting to be rewarded for staying silent. The power of perceived danger. Being liked is not power. It's comfort. A soft cushion of approval that smothers your edge. It makes you nice but forgettable. Visible but never respected. Because the man who obsesses over being like will shapeshift to fit the room, dilute his truth, mute his instincts, soften his fire, and then wonder why no one listens when he speaks. Machiavelli didn't write for men like that. He didn't write for the agreeable, the polite, the people-pleasers. He wrote for those who command. And command doesn't come from charm. It comes from presence. Real presence doesn't beg. It doesn't entertain. It doesn't smile to earn space. It sits still. It watches. And it strikes, not in words, but in energy. You felt this before. A man walks into the room, and everything shifts. People speak more carefully. They watch what they say. Not because he's loud, but because he might not be. That's the power of perceived danger. Not the danger of aggression, but of silence. A man who says little, but could do much. A man who doesn't seek peace, but holds it, because no one wants to disturb him. Machiavelli knew it is safer to be feared than loved, if one cannot be both. Why? Because love fades the moment you fail to meet an expectation, but fear lingers. Fear revives behavior. Fear sets boundaries before you even speak. Yet the modern man is told the opposite. Be soft. Be endlessly open. Be kind, no matter what. And then he wonders why he's overlooked. Why no one respects his niceness. Why his voice doesn't carry. Why his presence doesn't matter. The truth is brutal. You trained them to ignore you. You taught them that you'll tolerate disrespect, that you'll apologize for existing, that you'll fold the moment tension rises. And once they stop fearing the cost of crossing you, You lose all leverage. You don't need to be cruel. You don't need to be loud. You need to be a man who can cause damage and chooses not to, because true danger isn't a bark. It's a calm that signals, "Don't test me." The dog barks from fear. The wolf doesn't bark. He watches, he waits, and when he acts, he doesn't repeat himself. That's the difference between being heard and being remembered. You don't want to be liked. You want to be unignorable. You want people to just around your presence, to measure their tone, their moves, their intentions, because they know, even if you never say it, there are lines that cannot be crossed. And if your name means nothing when you're not in the room, then your presence means nothing when you are. So, stop chasing approval. Start building gravity. Start walking like a man who remembers betrayal, a man who doesn't raise his voice, because he doesn't need to. The death of the nice man. There's a man dying slowly every day, and he doesn't even know it. You'll recognize him. He smiles too much, apologizes when he hasn't done anything wrong, makes room for everyone but himself. He believes that if he's nice enough, polite enough, harmless enough, he'll be respected, he'll be chosen, he'll be safe. But the world doesn't work that way. Machiavelli would call this belief delusional, because in the real world, harmlessness is not goodness. It's just another word for powerlessness. The nice guy is celebrated in speeches, but ignored in decisions, dependable until he's replaceable, appreciated until he's unnecessary. Why? Because people don't respect what poses no threat. They don't value what's always available. They don't stay loyal to someone who never asks for anything in return. The nice man avoids conflict, avoids boundaries, avoids truth, and in doing so, he avoids himself. He thinks that love will save him, that if he just keeps giving, eventually someone will see his worth. But the world doesn't reward invisible men. It forgets them. And when the nice man is finally broken, when his patience runs dry, when his kindness is taken for granted one time too many, he snaps. But by then, it's too late. Because no one takes his roar seriously when all they've heard is wagging and whimpers. You don't gain respect by being easy to please. You earn it by having a line, a limit, a spine, by being willing to walk away, say no, speak truth without checking the room first. That's not cruelty. That's sovereignty. Machiavelli didn't admire cruelty for its own sake. He admired the man who could act without trembling, cut when cutting was necessary, protect himself when the crowd turned. And here's the hardest part for the nice man to accept. If you cannot say no, you've already said yes to being used. You've said yes to being overlooked, yes to being tolerated, yes to being disposable. So ask yourself, have you been living like a man or surviving like a mascot? Always smiling, always pleasing, always hoping. But hoping for what? For someone to finally see you? Then hear this. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be respected. And sometimes that means being feared, not in violence, but in presence. Because the man who cannot be ignored doesn't need to beg. He walks into the room and the energy adjusts. But that only happens when you stop folding, stop explaining, stop kneeling to win approval. Kill the nice guy, not your kindness, but your weakness. The part of you that smiles through disrespect, clings to loyalty out of fear, mistakes being passive for being noble. Because the truth is, no one follows the harmless. They follow the one who can bite and chooses not to. The final transformation. You weren't born to obey. You weren't made to beg for scraps of love or wait for someone's permission to exist. But somewhere along the way, you forgot. You were taught that peace is safer than power. Being liked is better than being feared. If you just stay loyal, polite, and agreeable, life will protect you. So you became the dog, loyal, harmless, always waiting, always wagging. And in return, you are praised but never respected, used but never remembered, fed only when convenient. Because that's the fate of the obedient man. He's tolerated until he's a burden, then he's replaced. Machiavelli saw it centuries ago. A wise man must learn how not to be good when the situation requires it. Because in a world driven by power, virtue without teeth is weakness. Obedience without leverage is suicide. But you're starting to remember, aren't you? That you were never supposed to be small. That your instincts were never wrong, just silenced. That your fire wasn't toxic, just threatening to those who couldn't control it. So now it's time. Time to stop asking. Time to stop folding. Time to stop kneeling. Time to kill the dog. Not your kindness, but the part of you that confuses obedience with safety, equates silence with love, believes suffering in silence earns loyalty. Kill the part that pleads, explains, performs, because the world does not fear the tame. It fears the unreadable, the unmoved, the undeniable. Let the wolf rise, not loud, not reckless, but controlled, sharp, uncompromising. A man who smiles, but only when he means it, speaks only when it matters, can bite, but doesn't need to, because his presence is already a warning. The wolf doesn't wait to be chosen, wait to be loved, ask to be respected. He moves as if it's already granted. And that's the final transformation, not from weakness to violence, but from invisibility to inevitability, from performing for approval to embodying presence without apology, from being safe to being remembered. So if you feel that shift inside, that burning edge that refuses to be ignored, let it live. Let it guide you. Let it replace the part of you that once waited to be saved. You're done kneeling, done justifying, done hoping the leash would one day become a crown. This is the edge of rebirth. Rip it off. Stand tall. Speak less. Watch more. Strike once, and walk as a man who no longer fears being misunderstood, because he's too focused on becoming unshakable. The unseen war, why most men never awaken. There's an invisible war being waged against men, not with bullets, but with ideas, not with force, but with conditioning. From childhood, you were fed a script. Be nice. Don't make waves. Fit in. And with each repetition, your instincts were dulled. Your fire was smothered, your will was tamed. But here's what they never told you. The world doesn't reward the tamed. It exploits them. The illusion of safety. You were sold a lie, that if you follow the rules, keep your head down, and avoid conflict, life will protect you. But look around. The obedient worker is overworked and underpaid. The nice guy is ignored in dating. The agreeable man is forgotten in history. Safety was never real. It was a trap, a way to keep you docile, dependent, and easy control. Machiavelli saw through this. Men are so simple of mind and so much dominated by their immediate needs that a deceitful man will always find plenty who are ready to be deceived. You were deceived. The cost of compliance. Every time you swallowed your truth to avoid conflict, you lost a piece of yourself. Every time you smiled when you wanted to snarl, you weakened your spine. Every time you said yes when you meant no, you trained the world to ignore you. Compliance doesn't earn respect. It earns disposal. Because in nature, the prey doesn't survive by being liked. It survives by being too dangerous to eat. The wolf's code. The wolf doesn't follow rules. He sets them. He doesn't seek approval. He commands it. He doesn't avoid conflict. He ends it. This isn't about cruelty. It's about sovereignty. Here's the code. 1. Silence over noise. The loudest man in the room is the weakest. True power speaks in glances, not shouts. 2. Action over explanation. Weak men beg for permission. Strong men act and let others adjust. 3. Scarcity over availability. The more you give, the less it's valued. Become rare and the world will chase you. 4. Consequence over complaint. Don't whine about disrespect. Enforce boundaries, then walk away. The rebirth. This isn't about becoming a monster. It's about awakening the king they tried to bury. The process is brutal. 1. Kill the pleaser. Stop performing for approval. 2. Resurrect the instincts. Trust your gut over politeness. 3. Forge a spine of steel. Let your no mean no. 4. Become inconvenient. The world only changes for those who refuse to kneel. The choice. Most men live their entire lives as shadows, haunting their own existence, never truly alive. You have two options. 1. Stay asleep, keep nodding, keep smiling, keep dying slowly. 2. Rip off the leash and let the wolf rise. The first path is comfortable. The second path is alive. Machiavelli's final warning. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. You've been the fox too long. It's time to roar. This isn't motivation. It's a wake-up call. If this stirred something in you, act now, not tomorrow, not someday. Today, the wolf doesn't wait for permission. Why should you? The forbidden truth about masculinity, they don't want you to know. There's a reason modern men feel lost. A reason the fire inside you flickers but never fully ignites. Society didn't just accidentally create generations of soft, directionless men. This was by design. The systematic castration of the male spirit. 1. The education system's betrayal. From the moment you entered school, they began neutering your masculine essence. Punished for being competitive, medicated for having energy, shamed for natural aggression. While girls were taught to lean in, boys were taught to sit down and shut up. The result? A generation of men who apologize for existing. 2. The media's emasculation campaign. Every commercial, every show, every movie portrays the same pathetic archetype. The bumbling dad, the weak husband, the idiot boyfriend. Meanwhile, the masculine man is either a villain or a dinosaur. This isn't entertainment. It's programming. 3. The corporate cage. They dangle the carrot of success while systematically removing everything that makes a man feel alive. Cubicles instead of conquests. Zoom calls instead of real challenges. HR departments that punish natural male behavior. You weren't meant to beg for promotions like a dog begging for scraps. The 3 poisons killing modern men. 1. Comfort addiction. Gym memberships unused. Meals delivered without effort. Porn replacing real intimacy. Your ancestors crossed oceans and conquered continents. You can't cross the room without DoorDash. 2. Approval seeking. Instagram likes as validation. Tinder matches as self-worth. Co-worker opinions as truth. Real men don't seek approval. They grant it. 3. Purpose avoidance. Endless scrolling instead of creating. Video game victories instead of real ones. Political outrage instead of personal responsibility. You know you're meant for more. That gnawing feeling won't go away because it's truth. The antidote. Reclaiming your birthright. 1. Physical reclamation. Lift until your hands bleed. Fight until your lungs burn. Run until your legs fail. Your body is a temple of your masculinity. Start treating it like one. 2. Mental revolution. Read what challenges you. Think what scares you. Say what needs saying. The mind is your weapon. Sharpen it daily. 3. Spiritual awakening. Seek discomfort. Embrace suffering. Welcome challenge. There are no great men who lived easy lives. The forbidden truth they've hidden from you. Your depression isn't a chemical imbalance. It's your soul screaming for the life you were meant to live. Your anxiety isn't a disorder. It's your instincts trying to break through the conditioning. The system wants you fat, medicated, compliant, scared, because real men are dangerous to those in power. Real men can't be controlled. Real men change the world. The choice before you. Continue down the path of mediocrity, comfort, submission, or rise to excellence, challenge, mastery. This isn't about being alpha or some childish dominance hierarchy. This is about becoming the man you know. Deep down, you were born to be. The world doesn't need more nice guys. It needs warriors, builders, leaders, men who stand when others kneel. Your ancestors didn't survive plagues, wars, and famines for you quit because your latte was wrong. They pass you a torch, not to hold, but to carry forward. The fire inside you isn't meant to be contained. It's meant to burn, to illuminate, to transform, to forge you into something harder, sharper, more dangerous to the status quo. Will you answer the call, or will you hit snooze again? The clock is ticking. History is waiting. What will your legacy be?